My dreams are always the same, down to the finest detail. A vision that returns again and again. In this never-changing dream, I am standing in our entrance hall, at the foot of the stairs, facing the steel frame and reinforced shatterproof window of the outer door, and I am struggling to turn the lock. Outside in the street is an ambulance. Through the glass, I can make out the shimmering silhouettes of the paramedics, distorted to unnatural size, their swollen faces haloed like moons. The key turns. My efforts are in vain.
The priest hallowed the baby with his saliva, his thumb, and his fingers. With his nose he made the sign of the cross over the baby. I believe, my memories of the ceremony are now a little vague, that at a certain stage he put a pinch of salt into the baby's mouth. John Cedric made a sour face and worked his tongue. Through his godfather he renounced the devil and his works and accepted God instead. And presently the ceremony was over. Liene grew grave towards the end. She was almost in tears when she went to the priest and offered money, I believe, which was rejected. No longer the smart London girl, and for the first time that afternoon I remembered that she was an unmarried mother. It was left to the tiny godfather to revive our spirits in the taxi, and even Elsa, his wife, passionately anti-clerical, agreed that it had been a beautiful ceremony of forgiveness.
The sound of her footsteps roused the monk from his sullen apathy. Starting from the tomb against which he reclined, while his eyes wandered over the images of corruption contained in it, he pursued the victim of his brutality, and soon overtook her. He seized her by the arm, and violently forced her back into the dungeon. "Whither go you?" he cried in a stern voice. "Return this instant!" Antonia trembled at the fury of his countenance. "What would you more?" she said with timidity. "Is not my ruin completed? Am I not undone for ever? Is not your cruelty contented, or have I yet more to suffer? Let me depart. Let me return to my home and weep unrestrained my shame and my affliction."
The idea had suddenly come to him that his daughter too must have grown in this long time, and that he would have to make friends with her anew. Assuredly, he would not find her as he used to know her, and besides, what might not have happened to her in these 8 years? The marriage pipes sounded, and the mild autumn sun streamed around us. But Rahmoon sat in the little Calcutta lane and saw before him the barren mountains of Afghanistan. I took out a banknote and gave it to him, saying, "Go back to your own daughter, Rahmoon, in your own country, and may the happiness of your meeting bring good fortune to my child." Having made this present, I had to curtail some of the festivities. I could not have the electric lights I had intended, nor the military band, and the ladies of the house were despondent at it. But to me, the wedding feast was all the brighter for the thought that in a distant land, a long-lost father met again with his only child.
Milly looked at her as if she were almost venerably simple, but also as if this were what one loved her for. "We're not quarrelling about it, Kate and I, yet." "I only meant," Mrs. Stringham explained, "that I don't see what Mrs. Condrip would gain." "By her being able to tell Kate?" Milly thought. "I only meant that I don't see what I myself should gain." "But it will have to come out that he knows you both, sometime." Milly scarce assented. "Do you mean when he comes back? He'll find you both here, and he can hardly be looked to, I take it, to cut either of you for the sake of the other."
"And now you shall see me try my skill to catch a trout, and at my next walking, either this evening or tomorrow morning, I will give you direction how you yourself shall fish for him."
"Trust me, master. I see now it is a harder matter to catch a trout than a chub, for I've put on patience and followed you these 2 hours, and not seen a fish stir, neither at your minnow nor your worm.
Well, scholar, you must endure worse luck sometime, or you will never make a good angler. But what say you now? There is a trout now, and a good one too, if I can but hold him. And 2 or 3 turns more will tire him. Now you see he lies still, and the sleight is to land him. Reach me that landing net. So, sir, now he is mine own. What say you now? Is not this worth all my labour and your patience?
On my word, master, this is a gallant trout. What shall we do with him?
Marry, e'en eat him to supper.
Everywhere in life, wherever it may be, among the coarse, cruelly poor and dirtily squalid lower ranks, or among the monotonously frigid and tediously decorous higher orders, in every class a man is met at least once in his life by an apparition unlike anything that it has been his lot to see before, which for once awakens in him a feeling unlike what he is destined to feel all his life. In every life, joy flashes gay and radiant across the sorrows of all sorts of which the web of our life is woven, just as sometimes a splendid carriage with glittering harness, picturesque horses, and windows flashing in the light suddenly darts by some poor squalid little village which has till then seen naught but rustic carts, and long afterwards the peasants stand hat in hand, gaping with open mouths, though the wonderful carriage has long since whirled by and vanished out of sight.
My lord, the obligations I have to some of the great men of your nation, particularly to your lordship, gives me an ambition of making my acknowledgments by all the opportunities I can, and such humble fruits as my industry produces, I lay at your lordship's feet. This is a true story of a man gallant enough to merit your protection. And had he always been so fortunate, he had not made so inglorious an end. The royal slave I had the honour to know in my travels to the other world, and though I had none above me in that country, yet I wanted power to preserve this great man.
"He's crying," said Susan. "He doesn't want us to take his umbrella. Perhaps he puts it up at night when nobody's looking." John grasped the umbrella more firmly and walked away. "He doesn't deserve to have an umbrella if he doesn't use it in this rain. Besides, he's only a scarecrow." By this time, Susan felt so very cold and wet that she turned to follow John. "We'll bring it back in the morning," she said. "Oh, aye." "What did you say?" "I didn't speak," answered John, who was trying to prevent the umbrella from turning inside out. "You did." "I didn't." "Someone did." Susan sounded rather frightened, for she had an uncomfortable feeling that the scarecrow must have spoken.
Nature, the art whereby God hath made and governs the world, is by the art of man, as in many other things, so in this also imitated, that it can make an artificial animal. For seeing life is but a motion of limbs, the beginning whereof is in some principal part within, why may we not say that all automata, engines that move themselves by springs and wheels, as doth a watch, have an artificial life? For what is the heart but a spring, and the nerves but so many strings, and the joints but so many wheels, giving motion to the whole body such as was intended by the artificer? Art goes yet further, imitating that rational and most excellent work of nature, man. For by art is created that great leviathan called a commonwealth, or state.
Here I may add that I consider that I am still a useful member of society, and I believe still capable of being pleasant and amusing when the occasion seems fit. The fact that I have no teeth and never could wear dentures does not in any way discomfort me. I don't have to bite anybody, and there are all sorts of soft, edible foods easy to procure and digestible to the stomach. Mashed vegetables, chocolate, and bread dipped in warm water make the base of my simple diet. I never eat meat, as I think it is wrong to deprive animals of their life when they are so difficult to chew anyway.